Welcome, chess friends! Anonymous guy Fawkes is back, and this time he's brought with him 16 barrels of gunpowder and a new plot. The only man that can stop him is our flash friend Gioachino Greco down here. Greco opens with the white pieces, e4. Anonymous guy lights the fuse with e5. We have knight to f3 and then f6. And in this position, I'd like you to see if you can spot the best move for Greco to continue with in order to stop Anonymous guy Fawkes from blowing up the Houses of Parliament. And remember, that's a bad thing. Okay, let's go. Okay, so your time's up. If you thought the best move was to develop the bishop, then you are right, because this is what the engine recommends, but it's just not flash enough for Greco. Greco has something different. He has capturing the pawn with the knight and sacrificing the knight. This is way more flash. Let's see how it continues. We have queen to h5, delivering a check. And now there are two moves for Anonymous. He can either move his king or block with the pawn. If he blocks with the pawn, then he just loses the rook, because check, the queen blocks, and then the rook is captured. The black queen captures the pawn, but after the white king moves aside, then it's completely winning for Greco. So let's reverse. Instead of playing this pawn move, Anonymous guy moves his king. And of course, the white queen picks up the pawn, which delivers a check, and now the king has to move aside. And this walks into a developing bishop move check, and you can either push the pawn here and lose a pawn and then have to move the king, or you can move the king straight away. Guy decides to move the king straight away, which is fine. And then we have queen to f5 with a check, and the only move now for the king is h6. And of course this walks into d4, which reveals another check with the bishop. Now there are only two moves here for Guy. He can either block with the queen and lose his queen, or he can block with the pawn. He decides to block with the pawn, of course, and Greco plays h4, and now there's all sorts of reveal attacks and pins going on here, and Guy Fawkes decides the best thing to do is to retreat his king to g7, but this walks into a check from the queen, so the king has to go back. And now if you can spot this last move, it's very nice. I'll give you a couple of seconds. Of course, it's capturing with the pawn, revealing the check from the rook, and it's also a double check because it's checked from the pawn. It doesn't matter if the queen takes this pawn because it's not going to stop the king being in check, so checkmate. Another fine flash game from our friend Greco, and bad luck, Anonymous guy. Maybe you can succeed with your plans next time.